To the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and with me as always is Chris, the stats man Gorman. Hey, hit him with the stats, Chris. All right. What is your stat this week?
My stat, my stat of the week is, all right, so Tobias Harris, he has made $211 million in his NBA career. That is a lot of money, right? It's also the most money ever made in NBA history by a player who has never made an all-star team. The all-you-can-have MVP, Tobias Harris.
He got paid team.
Catching strays on a Wednesday.
Catching strays. Wow, Philly still catching strays. And that silky voice belongs to the lawn boss, Joey McCroskey. Get that, Joe.
Hello.
Hello.
Get that, Joe. I'll do it for myself since Chris missed it.
Sorry.
Get that, Joe.
Chris is still thinking about his walk around the Six Flags from.
So much fun! You guys should have been there.
Should have been there. It would have been nice.
We didn't get invited to that one.
Sounds like a good time. I didn't get a text a half hour before that. I needed to be in Monday.
You still would have showed up.
Gurney Mills?
Still would have showed up. Yeah, you're right, but it would have been nice to be asked.
It's the thought that counts. Yeah.
The thought that counts. I thought about going.
Just like to know that I matter.
Folks, we have a great show for you. I promise it's not just going to be our personal bickering about who invited who when, how long they were in town, when they arrived, and when they let us know they arrived. It won't be all of that. We do have some basketball topics to talk about. We're going to talk about the new additions to the teams here in this young season. Who's been making the biggest impact on their new team? We're going to talk about some Bulls drama, opening night spat, and then in the locker room, and a little bit of a rough start. I mean, even though the record isn't terrible, but we're going to talk about our Sea Red Bulls, and then Joey's got a nice new segment for us, the Coach's Challenge. He's going to give us a couple of topics. We're going to either uphold his opinion, his take, or we're going to deny it?
Overturn.
Yeah, overturn. Why am I having struggling with these? Overturn it. I feel like I'm going to overturn everything. No, I'm just kidding. We got a nice show for you tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get started with some new additions. So, yeah, there it is. Obviously, there's been a lot of new players moving around, big trades over the offseason. We could probably start with maybe the biggest trade of the offseason, the Damian Lillard trade. He is in Milwaukee right now. Chris, how has Dame time been working out in Milwaukee? Obviously, a great start, great opening night game, but how's it been so far?
Yeah, no, ever since the opening night game, it's kind of been a mixed bag. You get good Dame, you get bad Dame, you get those are the two Dames. There's a good Dame and there's a bad Dame. Tonight, game is over, so we can talk real quick. So in the first game, he got 39 points. Then he got 6. They got 25. Tonight, he got 15. 2 good games, 2 bad games. The Bucks are also 2-2. The key point I want to point out with this Dame trade is that you're going to get a lot of variance, and because he puts on a great show.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of people who don't watch basketball as often as we do, like the thing that we do, don't realize like Dame is a very highlight reels kind of player, and that he when he's bad, he's so bad because he doesn't give you anything really well defensively to stay in front of that. And the Bucks are truly missing what they had with Drew Holiday. They're currently ranked 25th in defensive rating overall in the league, which again we're 4 games through, but still, that's 25th is crazy.
Yeah,
Nuggets are second. The Clips are first. Timberwolves are 8th. Want to call that out? So this Dame trade, like,
got tickets.
The question of are they actually better with him than when they had Drew Holiday is kind of a more serious question than just kind of trolly. So, in my opinion,
I don't think you're crazy. Obviously, the great start, 39 points in the debut. That's what you want to see. But then he was a negative 29 in that loss to Atlanta, where he scored 6 points. So a negative 29 that's not a great look at all. Again, a nice.
Stat.
Then he back.
He was minus 26 tonight.
So in these losses, he is an issue. a nice win over Miami. Obviously, the team that he was in rumor to be traded to all season or all off season. So that was kind of obviously showed up for that one. But I'm kind of with you a little bit, Chris. I mean, the highs are high, certainly, and I think maybe in Portland he wasn't under the scrutiny he's going to be in Milwaukee. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen going forward. Joey, do you have any thoughts on Dame? Have you caught any of the Dame games yet, or you're just kind of hearing what you hear through osmosis?
Yeah, no, I think nice. I think the scrutiny is warranted, and I think you're right that he's going to get more. He's going to have more pressure on him, right? Because
they're a championship contender.
He forced his way out of here, or out of Portland. Giannis made the pitch that you need to do something to make us a championship team, and then this was considered to be the thing. And they've kind of pushed out there that this is it. So this is obviously, night one was the storybook opening comes out, and it looks exactly like what you would have expected it was going to look like. It was Dame time and the watches were being tapped and everything was glorious. But if that doesn't keep up, if he's going to mix in 30-point games and 6-point games, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, going to be tough
to get out of this one without getting some flack.
Yeah, I mean, a negative or minus 29 and a minus 26 in those two losses is going to be big. That's going to stick out. So definitely an issue. Joey, you had been looking at Kristaps, correct?
I did. I took a little gander at Kristaps because you threw out some names.
Yeah.
I took a little bit of a look at Wembenyama. Not a ton because I'm not in love yet, but I took a look at Porzingis, and he kind of had the outburst in their first game. That was kind of the, hey, is this what the Celtics have been missing this entire time? And then I kind of heard the comparison, like you forget the Porzingis is 7'3".
Yeah.
Like he's basically Wembenyama before Wembenyama.
Yep.
So I took a look, and I was just kind of, watching some clips, and I caught a decent chunk of one of their games, and it kind of made me think, like, what was Boston's biggest problem last year when, like, they got in a tough situation or a close game at the end of regulation, right? It was Tatum and Brown kind of forcing everything. It was like they would just get into this shooting match where the two of them would just dribble ISO. Maybe there'd be one pass, because Marcus Smart actually was not a point guard as much as they wanted him to be. It was just those two guys, and it was like you knew what those two guys could do, and if you took out one of their options, you knew exactly where the next option was going to be. And watching Porzingis, and he's kind of had maybe a Dame-like start where there's been, like, I think two really good games and one kind of mediocre-ish game. But for a guy of his size, if he can stay healthy, he gives them that, like, alternate dimension, like a flexibility piece that they previously didn't have. And kind of that, like, floor stretching and that alternative outlet that they were missing at like kind of key moments last year for their season. So I was kind of thinking like in terms of an addition, and there were a lot of people that were still saying the Celtics were the favorite for the title. And I was kind of like, how, like, Dame and Giannis seems like a much more formidable duo than Brown, Tatum. And then, like, hey, Porzingis, because Porzingis has been out of, like, being a household name for 5 years. Like, he was a big name the first year in New York, and then that was it. So I don't know. I was impressed by him, and I was impressed with the way that they worked him into their team and their game. So out of the three you threw out, I think Porzingis might be my top new addition out of that grouping.
Yeah, no, and he does seem to fit kind of what they didn't have, which was, like, a legit big man scorer. He can also stretch the floor. He's a big body in the paint for them. So he hasn't really had any issues with transitioning into their offense like some people were predicting. Plus, they also added Drew Holiday too to their team, so they have several new additions that are kind of working in. And even though Drew hasn't had the spectacular offensive performances, he doesn't really need it for that team in particular. But Kristaps has been fairly solid, and the games I have caught of Boston, they're one of the teams we watch a lot around here. He has been good. So, Chris, did you have any thoughts on Kristaps?
I have no thoughts on Kristaps so far. I've avoided Boston, admittedly, and I don't really care to watch them right now. I understand, Drew Holiday maybe should be a focus for myself, but they're killing it against Pacers right now. Game talk, sorry, 150 points almost, but
Jeez.
I'll have a stronger opinion. I trust what Joey is saying on Porzingis, and
Small
the biggest
sample
question
size,
is not his talent. It's just, can he play?
Yeah, it's gonna be
60
hell.
games. So,
absolutely. Yep.
yeah.
That's definitely him. But yeah, if he is playing, it was definitely a good new addition. And the other guy we were really looking at was Wembenyama, a different type of addition. Obviously, a new player in the league, not a transfer guy, but not necessarily a wild start. He had 15 points in his debut. 21 is his season high so far against Houston. They got waxed by the Clippers. He didn't seem like he played too much in that game. And then obviously the nice win, I believe it was last night against Phoenix there. He had 18 points in that game. So, I mean, I don't think that it's really just kind of early for him, and the Spurs aren't a great team, by any means. They're definitely not, supposed to be winning many games this season, even with Wembanyama. But they certainly look like they're going to be exciting this year, at least fun to watch, appointment viewing for a lot of people just to get a look at Wembanyama. I mean, have you guys been, at all impressed by him, or are you kind of still in wait and see mode with him? I know, Joey, I don't know if you're like you said, you're not quite sold on Wembanyama, I guess, right? Or
Yeah, I think I'm still kind of wait and see. Like,
yeah,
obviously he's a freak in terms of his stature and whatnot, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like, he seems, for all the things that he can do, he seems like he's still maybe slightly timid at moments. And it may just be because there's not a lot of other, all the pressure is on him. So if you watch a Spurs game, like I watched last night's game for a while, I wasn't watching anything in that Spurs Suns game except for Wembanyama. Like, it was all just wherever he was on the floor, I was just watching him. I wasn't watching the ball kind of thing. So that could be a little bit of why maybe it seems underwhelming. But again, small sample size. But if you look at like the stats against Brandon Miller, who went second, Brandon Miller looks like he's having a better season in terms of like on paper. Just in terms of points per game and, win shares and field goal percentage and all this stuff. And I'm not saying Brandon Miller is ever going to be, long-term wise, but for the guy who was supposed to come in and be amazing, he's not bad, but he's not amazing yet. And that's not saying he's not going to get there, but in terms of like the best new addition.
Yeah. Right.
4 games in.
Yeah,
4 games in, he's not the best new addition. 10 games in, he probably will be the best new addition easily. And again, you don't want him, if you're the Spurs, you don't want him to be the greatest player of all time right now. You want that to come in like 4 years when the Spurs have been bad long enough to get your draft picks and get some pieces together. When it actually matters.
And they're ready to win.
It does them no good if they're a 6 seed this year and they have to play the Nuggets and get destroyed, right? That doesn't do anything for them.
Yeah. No, he's certainly, one of the, if not one of the most touted prospects of all time. So, Chris, any Wemby thoughts? Or are you still kind of?
I'm big on
Wemby.
Yeah,
right.
I'm way bigger on Wemby. I was very pessimistic going in. I thought he'd get hurt right away. Seeing him flex into a pretzel, maybe helped a little bit, and seeing him actually play pretty well has been nice. And like is he 19, 18? I always like to play the age.
Yeah, he's a young kid.
Age. Yeah, he's a young guy, and everyone's watching him, as they should. But I think he's going to be all right. I think the concerns I had with him, of kind of being a little busty, kind of like a bull. Okay, so like Shaq compared him to Bull the other night in that Phoenix game. Bull didn't even play. Like, what are we doing comparing Wembanyama to a guy that didn't even play just because they're the same size and, they're both super skinny? So I was a little disappointed to hear that from Shaq, but like, I like Wemby. I think he's going to be great. I kind of like that he has this slower approach. The fact that he went to San Antonio, if he went to like Charlotte or Portland or whoever else, could have had that, Detroit, I think I'd be a lot more concerned than I like. This guy's going to work out, I think.
Yeah. San Antonio was definitely a good place for him. So definitely a lot of new additions across the league. We'll be keeping our eyes on it, see who's improving their team going out throughout the season here. A team that hasn't had the greatest start. Our boy Joey's repped out for sure. Seeing red, the Chicago Bulls. Although it's really weird. Not a great start, but 2-2, so not bad. I think the weirdest thing of the past week has been that they had a players only meeting ish type thing happen at the end of game 1. Voices were raised is how it was kind of said in the media, and that Billy Donovan asked if they needed a minute, and kind of gave him some time. Certainly a little interesting. I still don't really know how I feel about that. The first or 2 tough losses early on, and then obviously the buzzer beater win there by Caruso, or not buzzer beater, like close win with a shot by Caruso, and then a nice win over Indiana, nice comeback win to keep them 2-2. But overall, a little shaky early on. Joey, what is your thoughts here about the Bulls? Is it as shaky as we think, or is their record a little more true of who they are? Where are you at with this? Where are you at with the meeting thing?
Yeah, it's not as shaky as we think. They're a 500 team at their best, right? Like,
yeah,
at their absolute best as they're constructed, they're a 500 team. They're 2-2. They're going to win some games that they probably shouldn't win, i.e. the Toronto game, and they're going to lose some games that they probably should win, right?
Yeah.
Detroit, Oklahoma City, that was flat in their face. But so like, I'm not super concerned that they lost 2 games and they won 2 games. Like, I think that's exactly where they're going to be. I'm trying not to emotionally attach to some of these losses that are inevitably gonna happen. The players only meeting, I don't mind it, and I don't mind it because to me it seemed like it was something that, like, it happened once last year when they got blown out in Minnesota. And there was the rumblings like their little players.
Yeah.
That happened at a point in the season where, like, the season was kind of already gone.
Yeah.
And all off season, they talked about, they didn't have like a cohesive unit. They didn't feel like last year. And they had some guys who just weren't in it together. And they had some stuff that they weren't like comfortable with. And they talked about this off season, like, we're going to fix that. They went to do their training camp in Nashville, and they felt like they had this better, unit, and they brought in the veterans, Torrey Craig, Javon Carter, to kind of like, hey, here's some more like vocal guys. They touted Kobe White has been, more vocal in a leadership role and whatnot. So to me, it was like, we talked about all of these things being better, and we got in a tough spot in this Oklahoma City game, and we fell right back to all the stuff that we were doing last year that we knew wasn't right. Our effort dropped when we got punched in the face. We stopped going inside to Vooch, and he was having a good game. I mean, Vooch got pissed in that game, right? On the court. He got in Billy Donovan's face. Have you ever seen Nikola Vucevic like get mad in a game? He just kind of like disappears. He doesn't like vocally, outwardly show that. So I'm not like wildly concerned about the players only meeting. Like, I think, whatever. I don't know if it was, you can even consider it that, but whatever. That doesn't bother me as much. What bothers me is that Patrick Williams is still not the guy for your team. He hasn't played barely in a fourth quarter out of these first 4 games. He sat entire fourth quarters in close games, especially against Toronto. I don't think he played a minute. Caruso played with 5 fouls for like 6 minutes in that game. And then the Detroit game, Patrick Williams and Kobe White both had 0 points. And Chris, you can counter at me all you want with Zach and his 0 assists and whatnot, but you can't have 2 guys who are starters off your team have 0 points in like 26 minutes, right? It wasn't like they both played 15 minutes and just getting like 0 points in 20 plus minutes of gameplay is just not, you can't have that. And it's not like, again, that they're not coming off of games where they didn't have great games against Toronto, right? Yes, Toronto went to overtime. So like they were a little bit tired, but they didn't have these massive games where like, okay, it was a bit of a downside. Like they've just been mediocre at best. That to me is the bigger concern. DeMar, Vooch, and Zach have been what they are. Zach has not been as efficient as probably as he would like, but you're still getting 20-ish points a game out of him. DeMar's doing his thing, Vooch is doing his thing. So to me, it's Kobe and Patrick Williams still, and I think a little bit is still on Billy Donovan as the coach of having to get these guys set up the right way to go out and compete on a nightly basis.
Chris, what are you seeing,
man? Non-emotional approach to the Minnesota right now.
I think I understand, Joey. I love you, but Zach's got to go.
Wow. Okay, you're at
What are we
Zach's
doing
gotta
here?
go.
51 points, 0 assists, and they lose by 14. Get
That's
out of
not a good
here!
look.
Like, I am so tired of seeing Zach do ISO ball, not initiate an offense, and not create cohesion to have players actually move around. Kobe and Patrick don't know where to go on the court. They have Zach LaVine just doing ISO one-on-one against Cade Cunningham, who's he didn't really play last year in rookie year or the year before, but he's probably one of the best defenders in the league. Like, just considering his size.
All right.
Just considering his size.
Just
So
considering
like,
his size.
I
He's
hate
certainly one of the bigger point guards in the league.
So I like the trade idea for Zach LaVine. I am so out on the Bulls. I have shorted them as much as I can in the sense that I bet against their win total. And I've recommended that win total to my gambling addict friend of mine. So and he's on
Did
board
he get
as
an
well.
invite? Top off.
So he was there.
He was there.
Roll.
Oh, okay.
So, I stayed at his place too.
Big shout out. Maybe do a podcast with him. It's weird. I feel like I'm in the middle a little bit because I mean, like for seasons long, I've said I'm done with the DeMar and Zach thing. Whenever these guys are ready, like whenever we're ready, we can move on to the next phase of the Bulls. But if they're gonna do it, I'm gonna try to enjoy it, like kind of to Joey's side. Like if they're still gonna be this sort of mediocre team, it's at least entertaining and fun to watch at times, even though it's incredibly frustrating. There is stuff where I've been trying to watch the Bulls with a different eye as far as, is this coaching or is this talent, and there is some stuff where I look at it and I go, all right, that's gotta be coaching. There's no movement on this offense right now. There's, but there is defensive stuff where I'm like, all right, that's on Zach or that's on somebody for not making a rotation. That's not necessarily, a coaching issue. And I think that's where I really don't know exactly what the issue is with the Bulls right now. I think they're just a mediocre team, like Joey was saying. Joey, any other thoughts on these guys?
Yeah. The 0 assist thing, like you obviously didn't watch that entire game, so whatever. But it's kind of hard to have 0 assists when 2 guys on your team put up shots and don't make any of their shots, right? When 2 of your starters have 0 points, it's kind of hard to gain assists in that.
Fair point. That's fair. They went 0 for 7.
It's tough, right?
I mean, Zach took like 45% of all shots that were taken as a team in that game too.
Well, yeah,
and like if you're on the floor, in rhythm,
watching, if you're watching 2 of your scorers not score, wouldn't you be like, well, shit, someone's got to score some points tonight, so I'm just gonna get my shots up and see what happens.
That's an argument. That's fair. I think there's another part of it where it could be that like people like Kobe and Pat don't know the rhythm of Zach. Like they're trying to figure out, like how like
they've been his teammate their entire careers.
Yeah, but
Zach is an interesting. I really don't think Zach's all that good. I think that's my.
Oh man,
I just don't think he's that good.
They're not losing.
No, they're not losing because of Zach. I understand
games because of Zach.
No, and that's not. But
and like I think everybody wants like Chris's comments.
I don't agree with that either. Yeah, I don't think they're losing because of him, but I think
it's
he's
like
a good enough trade.
He's the perfect like catalyst of this conversation, right? It's like you either want Zach to be like do more, right? You're not aggressive enough. And then he goes out and he scores 51 and doesn't pass the ball at all. And then it's like, well, shit, you scored 51, you lost by 14, you had no assists. Like, oh, you're not a team player. Like, and again, those are both valid like points, but I think he's just that perfect like lightning rod for that conversation because he doesn't do it like in a consistent like fashion and he doesn't take over games. It's just kind of like he had 51. But if you watch that game, you wouldn't have been able to be like, dude, this guy's on a heater right now, right? I noticed it and I texted you guys and said, shit, Zach's on a heater because I watched it, right? But like, he's just that player that like, no matter what he does, unless the Bulls become good, you're never going to feel like strongly one way or another. You're just kind of going to be like in or out on him.
It kind of reminded me of Booker's 71.
Yeah. It absolutely had those vibes.
It was just 51. Yeah.
It's just 51. I think, it kind of in that text exchange you guys had in the group chat there, Chris said, it was a good stats, a bad team game. And that to me is like what Zach is. He's a really good player. He's going to get really good numbers, but it's just not going to matter all that much. And which is weird. Like, that's the thing I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how this guy why he doesn't matter as much. You know what I mean? Because even when it really comes down to crunch time, it's DeMar or Caruso making like the clutch shots. It's not so much like Zach taking over a game, like you're saying, Joe. You don't notice it where like, dude, this guy is just unstoppable right now, getting to anywhere he wants on the court. He just doesn't have those moments for me. And that's where I look at it and I go, I think he's, a fine NBA player. I think he's a great basketball player in that sense, for the world. He's a great basketball player. But when it comes to the NBA, like, is he going to be a guy that's, a number one on a championship team or even a 2? I don't think so. I think he's a 3 on a championship team, like best case scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could be good for LA.
Yeah.
Another team, Brooklyn. Sorry, let's not go. Go down the road.
We'll go to fake trades until the season completely blows up. But it is. We'll see. We'll see if it's fast approaching.
They're not going to trade him.
No, they won't.
They're not. They won't.
They should, but they won't.
It'd be a terrible look for them as an organization.
Yeah. Ransdorf doesn't trade.
I mean, it's the first time they've given somebody money, right? Like, and Zach said it today during shoot around. He was like, I don't know. I feel like I've done my part in like being loyal. So I don't feel like
dang it.
Should trade
he's like, really not getting traded. Oh man.
He's not. They're not going to trade him.
Well, I've been on the record. And again, I know Zach's kind of turned into like a hot button issue where he's almost the new Kobe White for us. Where it's just
Kobe's good now. Have I been validated on Kobe?
No,
maybe.
You haven't.
He's all right.
He's getting more minutes over Io.
He's getting minutes. That doesn't mean he's good.
Getting minutes on the Bulls.
You've been watching Io, right? Like, he hasn't really been.
I haven't even really been hearing his name.
No, Io has changed his game, and he's doing what he should be doing as the caliber player he is. He's becoming like a little mini Caruso.
All right,
because Caruso is going to take Kobe's going to take Caruso's going to take Kobe's starting job here soon.
Okay. All right.
That's my call.
Damn it! I lost my Zach point. Oh no, I was on the record before. I don't think they should have paid him. Like I was a firm. Don't pay this guy. I will be a firm. Trade this guy. I will be till the end. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There
was no solution. There was no solution for that option though.
Yeah,
and there's still no solution. Yeah, there's still no solution for him. And that's why they're not going to trade him.
Yeah,
because they trade him, they don't get any better. They stay exactly the same.
No, my whole argument for the whole entire thing is
to get really
you're not
bad.
going to get to get really bad. Yeah. So
yes,
and they're not ready to do that. They won't. So they're just fine.
If the conversation is we trade Zach and we also trade DeMar and Vooch and Caruso, then I'm in. Right? That's fine. Yeah, but it can't just be. It can't just be one of them, because one of them and replacing them with the same kind of player isn't going to do you any different.
No, if it was a one person, I would be like, all right, trade DeMar. Trade DeMar, give Zach the keys. You got to keep Caruso and Vooch. It's fine. All right, and try to get some pieces, some shooters around Zach. So yeah, somebody to pass to.
Yeah, not Torrey Craig.
Not Torrey Craig. So all right, well, we got a nice, fun segment here. Joey's come up with. He's going to give us the coach's challenge. Give us a little explanation here. Jesus, Joey.
All right. The segment's called Coach's Challenge. Basically, I'm the coach. I've identified something through the week that I've seen that I believe is true and accurate. And I think you guys may have trouble deciding on, right? I don't know which way you would lean.
Perhaps.
So I'm going to present the challenge and say, I've seen something. This is what I believe. And I want you guys to either uphold my thought in the call or overturn it, confirm it or overturn it. All right.
We're going to go to Secaucus right now.
Yes. We're going to Secaucus. We're going to Steve Javi, and we're going to see what's going on here. So my first thought, Los Angeles Clippers, the Clips, did not get any better trading for James Harden.
Clips is delicious.
A crisp clips.
A crisp clips in the morning is what I like to start my day with. I'll take this one to start. I'm gonna overturn this. I think they got better. I think this is a big deal. I known Harden hater. I hate him. I don't like him. I think he's a cancer to his team.
Is there
But
anybody you
he
do
is-
like? Just sidebar.
Steph
Is there any
Curry,
player you actually
Giannis,
do enjoy? Okay.
Jokic,
Okay.
Jamal Murray.
You
I
liked
could-
Vooch.
should we keep
You liked the
going?
Vooch trade too.
I did
You
like
were
the
a
Vooch trade.
guy. Yeah.
I don't hate Vooch. He's just not good.
Fair.
All right. I am a known Harden hater, so that's why I want to say this. But he still led the league in assists last year. He's still a playmaker. That team has been very solid so far, leading the league in net rating right now, early or very, very early. But I don't know. I think that if they're healthy this year, they're fairly deep. They got some guys on their team. You know, Kawhi's playing right now. Paul George is playing right now. Westbrook has been solid. He'll probably go to the bench. You add a guy of Harden's level. I know he's not. I know he's not the guy he once was, certainly, but he's not going to be. He's going to be the number 3 on that team for sure. So that's another place that might be good for him. Not being a second or a first guy like he's been on his other teams. And I think he's going to have plenty of guys to get the ball to. And if he's willing to accept that role, I like this for the Clippers. I think they got what they wanted. You know what I mean? Miami didn't get their guy, but they got the guy they wanted. They didn't give up Tory Mann or Terrence Mann. So Tory Mann. I think you said Torrey Craig a minute ago, and
Yeah, I did.
They got my brain.
There you go.
Chris, what do you think, man?
They are no better. Okay, so like remember when Brooklyn, when Harden went to Brooklyn, the question was like, there's not enough ball to go around between him, Kyrie, and Durant. Now he goes to LA where there's Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook, and also Bones Highland, by the way, is
Bones Highland.
This team. He's getting 17. He got 17 points in the last game. There's one ball. Harden gives you nothing defensively. We were talking about that with Damian Lillard.
True.
Harden is a turnstile on defense, and I'm a fan of the big men. Zubac is their best big man, and Ivica Zubac is not the big man that'll take you to the promised land. So I am out. I am out on the Clips. I'm not buying my Clips.
So you're confirming this call.
I am confirming Joey's
Confirming the call.
Confirming the call. I have overturned it. I mean, the Nets offense was.
That's 2-1. The call is upheld.
The call is upheld. All right, we will see how this plays out throughout the season. I'm the Stan Van Gundy of the broadcast here, saying my prediction on the call to have it not go my way.
I think this team is better if it was like 3-4 years ago. I think this is.
I mean, true.
This is a little late to the party to try and piece it all together. I don't hate them trying it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I don't think they're winning anything, but it's one of those things where it makes me go, okay, let's see.
I thought they were a first round exit before this. I think they're a first round exit.
No, they're going to be a second round exit now with Harden.
Who are they? They're not beating anyone.
No. I know. Just more making the joke for Harden can't get out of the second
Making
round.
moves in the world.
God.
All right. What's your next challenge, Joey?
All right. A second coach's challenge. All right. So I've used one. It was upheld. So I still have another challenge, and I'm going to use it on. Hey, that might be fun how we do this.
That would be fun.
I like that. Yeah.
All right. So my second coach's challenge is the Grizzlies at 0-4 will not make the playoffs this year, and I'm considering playoffs sans play-in, so they're not going to be top 8.
Okay.
And when
they won't make they won't make the actual bracket.
Yeah,
that's what I think we should call it. The bracket. They won't make the bracket. That's the final 16 teams. Chris, you got a thought?
I'll go first on this. Yeah, I really wanted to go against this one because I upheld Joey's previous one. the more I thought about it, I watched some Grizzlies games. They don't look that bad. Bane's been putting up 30 points in I think 3 or 4 games, and they still lose. But they also have lost a lot of guys. The biggest thing about this team that isn't talked about is beyond just John Morant being gone is the fact that Tyus Jones is no longer on this team as well. He's their backup point guard who is
loss.
Again 20 minutes a game. Yeah, tough loss. They don't even know who the fuck that guy is.
Tough loss. Backup point guard. I know who that guy is.
And Steven Adams out for the season.
Steven Adams out for the season.
Yeah, that I didn't think that mattered as much because with Tillman, Clark, and Jackson. Actually, is Clark hurt too? Oh, Clark I think is gone for the season too. Brandon Clark. So it's just Tillman. Yeah,
they have multiple injuries. Yeah,
this is a lost season for the Grizzlies. I upheld Joey's call here.
I, as a Memphis believer and a Ja fan, I really wanted another guy I like in the league. I really wanted to overturn this call, and then I looked at the standings, and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see who's falling out. I think there's 10. So when I was looking at it, I think I was making the playoffs, the 10 teams, the play-in and the playoff teams. And I looked at there's one spot left. I feel like all the teams that are in the top 10 right now are there, except for one team is kind of a spot that I think is open, and I think it's gonna be between Memphis, Minnesota, and the Pelicans. I think those are the 3 teams that are going to fight for that last play-in spot, and I just don't see Memphis doing enough over those other 2 teams. I think, Minnesota's going to be good, and I think the Pelicans are going to be good. So, or good enough, I should say. That then I had to confirm the call. I don't see it. I don't see it right now.
I think my biggest concern is that they might fall into too deep of a hole.
Yeah,
that when Ja comes back, it's going to be too little, too late. I mean, I know it's only 25 games, which it's not massive. I mean, he's missed 20 games a season ago, and they played pretty good without him, but they're not the same team.
Yeah,
that they were those years. Marcus Smart is not. He's not Tyus Jones
in those games.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much of him.
Yeah, it's too much. They don't have the same swagger that they're kind of used to, and I feel like they're going to get in a hole. And I like what you said, Titus. I think this season might be a lost season for them, and they just need to make sure Ja comes back and stops being stupid.
Ja
All right, cool. I'm 2 for 2 on my coach's challenge. I like this.
Wow, it was good segment. I like this.
We should. I'll keep on. Yeah, we can keep a record on this one.
All right, Joey's 2-0 in the coach's challenge.
Yeah, 2-0. I said 2-2. I gave myself a
terrible
record.
2 of 2.
How do we? We'll have to talk about how we want to.
3 votes.
I mean, my vote is always in favor. So if I can convince one of you, or if I get one of you on board, it's a win.
It's a win.
Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But great new segment. Great show from you guys. Obviously, be more to talk about next week. Our Bulls are in a heated one right now with the Mavericks, so we'll be talking about that.
Game talk.
If we're going to talk game talk, Timberwolves are up 99-76 over the defending champs right now at Minnesota. So,
first
Minnesota is the toughest opponent against Denver, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
We know that, right?
Coach's challenge. Denver's not going to win.
That's all right. I got coach's challenge next week. We're going to talk about that. Let's go. Preview for next week.
Chris trolls us and coaches.
Chris stole my segment.
Chris hijacks the segment. I like your segment.
Classic Chris. I got coach's challenge.
Not a troll.
You know what? Just let me know when you go to Six Flags next time so I can decline. Politely decline.
I'm good. You can leave me off that message. It's over. It's over between us.
I want to be able to decline.
It's a great time. Missing out.
Missing out. Walking around.
We know we didn't get invited. We would have came. I love Six Flags.
I could have been there. Who knows? Well, that is it for us today. Follow us on social media at the Box Out Boys. Slide in those DMs. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube and Spotify. We very much appreciate that. So until next time, a box out.